We are live.
Hello, Jake.
Hi, Jess. Good morning. How are you
Good
doing?
morning. Doing well. Can you believe we're on episode 7 already?
Man, it seems like yesterday we just were like texting about this whole idea, and here we are,
I know. This
seven
is
seven weeks into it.
episode 7 of the Outdoor Cameraman Experience with Jess DiLorenzo and Jake Latondras and Latondras Media Collective. So, big weekend for everybody this past weekend. It was Father's Day weekend. I was gone Thursday to Sunday. Jake, you were doing some stuff at home with the family. Any special moments with your little kiddos? You've
Yeah,
got a
we
new one this year.
yeah we have a 10-week-old baby named Scarlett, and
Who is
just
super, super, super cute.
thank you. We did not realize she was going to have red hair when she was born. Ironically, we named her Scarlett before she was born, and
How
so I have
perfect
a
is that?
yeah, I have a blonde, a brunette, and a redhead.
She's
Red,
like,
white,
I
and
can't
blue.
tell if it's like just really strawberry blonde or full on red, but she is just adorable and she's got light eyes. She looks like a doll.
Yeah, she's doing well. She's been sleeping through the night, so my wife is getting lots of sleep now, and all's well.
Awesome.
She's very healthy. Yeah, thanks for
Awesome.
asking.
Yeah. We took our fly crafts up to the Catskills, New York, and did kind of like a Father's Day camp fish combo weekend with our friends George Romanchuk and his family, and we had a really good weekend. We had some funky weather and a little windy, and of course the river was packed with boats and fishermen. But we had a good time, and the kids, I don't even know how they survived. They were playing like maniacs all weekend long in the river, so they had a blast.
The energy, I wish I had their energy right now.
I told Emmy, I'm like, I don't know how you're going to make it through this week because she's got like a full week of field hockey camp, and coming off the weekend, she was just drained.
Very good. You guys are always doing cool stuff on weekends, which actually leads us into a family or a guy that we're going to have on our show today, Brandon Fien. He and his family do a lot of the same things. They're very active in the outdoors, and that's one of those things that has really brought him along as a truly phenomenal outdoor wildlife photographer. So here in a few minutes, we're going to have Brandon Fien on as our special guest.
Yeah, I've been hearing about, I haven't met him personally yet, but you have done some projects with him and worked with him over the past year. And just kind of watching his portfolio grow since you introduced me to him has been fantastic. He's just embodies everything we always talk about, just like starting from the bottom and working your way up. And he works hard and he's got the talent and the eye behind it. He's just really, it's amazing. He's a phenomenon.
He just gets it. He totally gets it. He has this natural ability to capture moments with his camera, and he spends a lot of time in the field doing that, which are some things we're going to talk about. So, why don't we get to Brandon? Bring him on, and let's start
Yeah.
chatting with him. He's a great kid. You guys are going to love this guy,
Hi,
What's up?
Brandon.
Hi.
How are you?
Brandon.
I'm good.
Good.
Tired because it's
Yeah,
30.
where are you? You're in California, so you're about three
California,
hours earlier.
California. Yeah, way earlier. Mhm.
How's
How's
the
it feel to
family?
wake up early on your summer vacation to hang out with us?
Surprisingly rewarding.
Oh, good.
Usually, no, it's okay. Usually, I get up early. I'm always in. I've always been an early person.
Well, I
You're out
guess
of
you kind of
school.
have to get up early.
Yeah,
You're out of school for
yeah,
the summer.
exactly. I got out of school 2 weeks ago. Last week, we were doing a fly fishing academy, which is for me and my family. We were all learning how to fly fish because, I mean, my dad's a pretty good fly fisherman in my opinion, but all three of us boys have always wanted to get into that.
So you
So
guys
yeah,
went up and had like fly fishing instructors, like casting
yeah.
instructors. What were you got? What were
So
y'all?
we went south down to the Sierra Nevadas, and there was I think 8 fly fishing guides, and they all gave us free rods, free gear and everything, free backpacks, everything. They taught us how to tie knots, how to do a roll cast, overhead cast, a bunch of cast. And then on the last day, we actually went fishing at Arcularius Ranch near Alpers Ranch, which is in California, like some renowned fly fishing ranch. And a lot of kids ended up pulling out some big trout. It was pretty cool.
I feel like that's the best way to start off fly fishing. That's how I started too. I started with some casting instruction and went out with a guide a few times, and my husband helped as well. But fly fishing is really, really tedious and it can get really frustrating, especially with kids. So to to have your family be able to book that up for you and get it rolling, that was a great idea, because we've taken friends and I've watched people just starting in it. It's so frustrating. So to have like professional tips and experience and just start you off right, it's hard to correct the bad habits. So that was a good idea.
Brandon, how old are you now? You just
I'm
turned
16.
16?
But yeah, I turned 16 almost 2 weeks ago. Yeah.
What were you
Right.
doing when you were 16, Jake?
We don't want to talk about that. Wait, let's stick to Brandon here, okay? So you're 16 years old, and when did you get into photography? How old were you?
I was really late in 13. So I was 13, but I was about to turn 14. So I was young.
And so, I'm not going to hide the fact that, I've spent some time with you and your family, and I know all these facts, but I'm going to, just go through a timeline with you, because I think that's one of the most interesting things about your story is how you started, early in life with a camera, and you had enough passion to do it that you actually saved some lawn mowing money to buy your first camera. Is that right?
Yeah. So I was doing just a bunch of chore money. I was mowing lawns. I was doing anything I could to get money, just because I really wanted to buy this camera I saw at Costco when I was grocery shopping with my mom. I was doing anything I could to get money, and then my 14th birthday ended up rolling around. I got a few extra bucks. So the first thing I did was I drugged my mom to Costco, ran to the camera section, grabbed the kit, and then I went to the desk and then bought it. All cash, $400.
So let's take a step back in time now. So before you bought this camera, you had a passion. I mean, you were really set on buying this camera.
Yeah.
What was there an influence that made you really want to start taking pictures? Like, why did you want a camera?
So I want to say it started probably back when I was playing baseball when I was 12 almost. I got a arm injury during the October-November time. So I got kicked out of baseball for like 4 or 5 months. But in that time, my dad was duck hunting a lot. So I tagged along with him, and then I ended up getting pretty good with a duck call. I really, really just got into the outdoors and duck hunting. So I went home and I was looking up duck pictures, and I took my notepad and I just started drawing ducks with a pencil. And eventually, I wanted to be the person that took those pictures on the internet. So I scrounged through my mom's closet and I found this camera. And the first thing I did with it was run down to the creek and found some wood ducks, and I started taking pictures. And they were so awful. They were just awful pictures. But to me, that was like the greatest adrenaline rush I never got before. So
what's behind you on the wall, Brandon? Are those some of your drawings behind you?
Yeah, they are some of my drawings.
Nice.
Yeah. They're all graphite.
It's funny. I was just going to say it's funny because when we keep referring back to the Lee Chose interview, but we talked about art. It's all art. Photography, drawing, music. It's all art. So it's interesting that people that have artistic talents like yourself are artists in a lot of different realms.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
What model camera is that you found in your parents' closet?
This one, it's actually plastic. It's the EOS.
Don't drop it.
The Rebel XT. I don't know how old it is, but it's definitely.
Let's not talk about how old it is. So, funny story. My first professional gigs were started with a Canon Rebel. That was the first camera that I got to. I got it as a graduation present from college. It wasn't the first camera, but the first decent camera. And that's what I started using as an intern for shooting weddings for a studio for a while until I had enough money to upgrade. So that's like step one, like photos 101, because you can learn how to use that camera manually, and that just puts you in line for using these bigger and better equipment.
Yep.
Keep going.
Yeah. So you bought the camera.
Yeah.
You went down to the creek, you took pictures of wood ducks, and then you got inspired. Then what happened?
Then I did that whole sequence of getting money and then bought the camera. And now I have this camera. It's the well, I don't have it now, but this is the camera I bought from Costco. It's the EOS Rebel T6. So it's just a slightly upgrade from the XT.
You know, when we've talked about this before, stopping you right there, you know, I'm sure there's a lot of young aspiring photographers that are watching the show now, or they're going to watch it later because you're on the show and it piques their interest because they can relate to you in your age group. But one of the things that, you know, we all get asked all the time, I'm sure all three of us do, and everyone that's been on the show does, is what kind of camera should I buy? What kind of lens should I buy? You know, and it's like, look, man, I mean, I always send people to your page and go, dude, go look at this guy's page because he got all this stuff with like a Canon Rebel and all the, you know, a cheap camera kit lens and all this stuff. And while you've upgraded a lot of your equipment to what you have behind you there, you started out, you weren't like, you were proud of the camera that you bought because you earned it with your hard-earned money and you made the best of it. And it's not what you shoot with, it's how you shoot. So, you know, you're proof in the pudding that you don't need a fancy camera to take killer shots.
No, that's by far my most common question. Every time, it's probably 4 to 5 times a week, I'm getting DMs saying, "Hey, what camera do you have? Hey, what's the best, you know, lens to use for birds in flight?" And I'm just saying, hey, your iPhone is a pretty good picture taker, in my opinion, because if I ever forget my camera or I'm out at school, I can do some pretty cool things with an iPhone. But to me, it's never been about the gear, and if it was, then I'd probably have a lot more of it.
That's hilarious. Said that is expensive.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because when I was shooting with this camera or this camera, if I was just making excuses saying, "Oh, I can't get that shot because I wish I had this camera," that's just never been true to me. I went out to a field one time where it was just an awful lighting set. It was just awful. There was so much overcast. It was dark. All my images were grainy because of the ISO capabilities on this camera. And I never once complained because I just loved taking the pictures. And I knew I could go back in post-production and, you know, do some noise reduction and all that. But it's fun just the way it is. You can learn a lot just with this camera because with this camera I learned how to shoot manual, and that was one of my biggest steps as far as technical things go. You learn how to ISO works, and you learn how aperture works and shutter speed. But yeah, it's just a cool little experience.
Yeah, I mean, camera bodies change and features and things like that change all the time, and you get new features all the time. But shooting the camera manually, that's a steady skill. So to learn that right off the bat is a huge bonus for you. And also, I mean, being a teenager in school and you've got busy, crazy lives, to be able to have the discipline to teach yourself that at a young age is pretty impressive, Brandon.
Thank you.
That could have been your biggest asset, really, is having something that you had to shoot in manual to learn how to make the adjustments. Like Jess said, you know, it is obviously it's paying off in big dividends. That picture that Jess just posted of the pintail, tell us about that, because that was pretty cool. I mean, that was one of the I know Sitka posted that on their social media platforms, particularly Instagram, and it blew up, man. It got a lot of likes and a lot of attention. Tell us about that photo.
That's funny because I was at Calusa Refuge and I was using this camera. I think I shot this back in July. It was really foggy. It was really dark. And the actual original image was an awful image. It was totally washed out. It was grainy. It was not colored like that. So I cropped it down just around the bird because there was a bad background. What else did I do? I dehazed it, brought up the saturation, denoised it a lot. And originally I never liked the picture. I just scroll right past it because what I'll do is in my photo shoots, I'll look through all my pictures, I'll pull out the best pictures, and then I'll go through it again and again and again. And then on the 5th time of me going back to that photo shoot, I found that picture. I'm like, I'll just play with this. So I got it down to that, and I still never liked it, but I ended up posting it on Instagram, and it got a lot attention, especially
It
from
looks like a fine art painting. It's fantastic.
Yeah,
It's ridiculous.
It's like out of the Renaissance.
I still, it's funny to me because I still don't see that. Like, I still don't really. I mean, I think it's a good picture, but I don't think it's one of my best pictures.
It's fantastic.
Well, there's just so much going on. I mean, as we all know, pintails are so beautiful as they are, but when they start preening their feathers, I mean, they're one of the sexiest ducks on the planet. And the way his feathers are ruffled, and you capturing the moment and really knowing the background behind the photo now, you added your artistic look and your artistic vision to it, which is really what ended up making that photo. I mean, that goes to show you out there. We talked a lot about this with Bill Buckley and Lee Chose as well, about the post-production values and how valuable digital media is to us all. So yeah, that's
even
a great
before
photo.
the editing, whether you know it or not, you can break that down into some really fine art fundamentals. I mean, you could split that into a grid of threes. You've got so many patterns repeating. You got lots of triangular shapes. You've got contrast. I mean, whether you did that purposely or not, you pulled it off like a seasoned veteran.
Well, that sounds a lot more intricate. I just knew I did. I don't know.
I mean, maybe sometimes we as adults, we just overthink everything, but I mean, he's obviously got some sort of true talent that just kind of shows through, and there it is. He's like, I did it.
I think that's the magic behind you, Brandon. You just have this, it's raw talent is what it is. I mean, like we say, art is art, but you can't buy talent. You can't borrow talent. You can't steal talent. And, there's no doubt you were one of my friends down in Florida. Ryan Nitz goes, man, that dude Brandon Fien was born with a camera in his hand. Yeah.
I wouldn't say it's all talent, because if you look at my first year and a half pictures, they were just awful, and they still are. I've always thought they were awful. But more of it is just my desire to get better is why I'm here, because to me, I'm never satisfied. Like, I'll take my best picture that I've ever taken, and I can still point out everything wrong with it, because to me, there's no end. I can never be satisfied. I can never hit that finish line with an image, or even myself. I'm always trying to get better. I'm always trying to take that next step. And photography is perfect, because if you stop, then somebody will get better than you. And technology is always improving. Art is always getting more intricate. It's just fun.
What are some of your favorite photos that you've ever taken? We have some of those, Jess?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
One of my dog licking some ducks.
Yeah, I love that. I love that photo too.
I think that's my favorite picture from this season, and it wasn't planned or anything. It's something that my dog always does. It was his first year being a duck dog, since he's just a year and a half old now.
I don't have dogs licking ducks, but I do have dogs.
Oh yeah,
ducks.
that's a cool one. It was really foggy. I love fog. I always told my dad, I love fog. So this was on a retrieve that my dad had to help my dog, but he ended up finding it in that brush, and he pulled it back out, and my dad's walking back in the background, and it's just a really atmospheric photo. But I don't like how his eyes are really dark.
Well, it tells a story. It tells a story of, your dog. Obviously, green-winged teal always get a lot of attention because of their beauty, and for your dog to have it in his mouth in the foreground of your shot, and your dad walking back in the fog. I mean, it tells a story, and I think that's something that's really special about your photos, is that you do understand how to capture a moment that tells a story in time, and that's what attracts people to really, really good photography.
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, and so I've actually heard some people say that you have hunters in the background, especially recently since this past winter. You've added that dimension, that variable into your photography, and I've posted a number of your photos or sent people to your page or whatever, and the comments that I get back, the people, even non-hunters that are on my Facebook page, have said to me privately that they like these they love these photos with people in the background. So keep doing it. There's something to it.
People in the background?
Well, Hunter's in the background. You know, you're telling a story like your dad in the background there. Yeah.
Awesome.
Tell us about the wildfowl cover. That I know that had to be a big day when that's let's see it
This
here.
one.
Yeah. I'm sure
Um,
that has circulated all over. A lot of people have seen that photo. Tell us about it.
What an accomplishment. Jeez.
well, obviously my dog Crash. It's he's a good looking dog, which makes it easy for me when I'm taking pictures. He's a huge part of my photography. And actually, funny story about that picture on the cover. I took it in my bedroom where his face was looking. His face was half lit by the window, and the other side was my light off in my bedroom. So my bedroom was pretty dark.
That's so awesome, man.
And you can probably see the window in his eye, like the square. That's the end of my windowsill.
So
Anyways,
to everybody out there waterfowling, trying to get those dog eyes, you just have to bring them into your bedroom. Screw getting up at 4 a.m. to set everything up to hunt. Just
That is so awesome.
his big thing is he loves looking out the window, and he'll just like look at the people and then bark at some dogs, and that's all he does. So I'm like, stay there. I ran, got my camera, and then I made him look at me, and I took the picture, and it was just like that. And then I brought it back into Lightroom, and I just did some vignetting, and didn't take much because it was already dark to get that black background. It's a pretty unique shot in my opinion. I don't think I have any other shots like that. And
I got to ask you, was that inspired by your self-portrait? You remember that self-portrait that I like of you so much? It's really dark with your hat on.
I did. I took that picture before I took my self-portrait. Actually, took that same picture during the same day as I was experiencing the black background.
So my portrait by your dog.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, I got to tell you this. There's two people that are watching right now that are very influential, and one's about to be even more influential in your life. But Joe Genzel from Wildfowl Magazine just posted, that's a badass magazine. That's a badass shot. So that's awesome. The other is one of my favorite people on the planet and my business mentor, Bobby Martin. He's one of the owners at Greenbrier Club in Arkansas, which I'm sure you're very familiar with. And he just posted a comment that you just earned a hunt with your dad at Greenbrier. So
what?
We're gonna have to dig into that one, and you should thank Bobby. He is a great guy. He is a great mentor, and he will change your life. And you better take him up on this offer because it doesn't come around very often.
No way.
Yeah. Thank you, Bobby. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, I can't wait. I'm already getting antsy for this season.
Yeah. So speaking of that, what else has photography done for your life, man? You're 16 years old, dude. I mean, you should be like out. I don't know what you should be doing, getting in trouble, or which you rarely do. And
I was just trying to come up with enough change to buy combos and an orange soda at the gas station.
Yeah. I mean, what's photography done for your life, man? This is amazing.
It's I don't think it's done any harm or any real good. I don't know. I just love taking pictures. I don't think I'm better than anyone because I have followers on Instagram. I definitely at school I'm not the most popular, so
is that because of the attention that you get?
I'm not. Nobody really talks. I don't talk about it, so nobody else talks about it. So I don't really bring it up to anybody. They'll be like, "Oh, do you have Instagram?" And then I'll bring them to my private page. I have 2 Instagram accounts that not many people know about because a lot of my high school friends don't follow my photography account, so I had to make a private account.
Brandon, you should see how I feel when I have to go in with all the PTA moms and they're like, "Are you on Instagram? Are you that girl who's always hunting?" I'm like, "Yeah, that's me."
Yeah, I get when teachers, you're like, "Oh, you're the duck kid, right?" I'm like, "Yeah." So I had to make a separate account. It's just called Brandon Fien. If you want to follow it, it's my personal life. It's like my high school life. Just my friends see it. So it's not anything special.
Well, there's when I first saw your feed, okay, your Instagram feed, I was scrolling through. I don't even remember how I got there, but I just saw a photo, and I honestly don't remember which which photo it was, but it just stopped me in my tracks. So I started thumbing through. I'm like, wow, this guy's really good, man. This guy's really good. Then I flipped down. I'm like, this guy's a kid. This guy's 14 years old. This guy's a kid. I'm going, oh my God, I have to contact him. So I contacted you immediately and just started, I guess chatting with you and trying to get to know you because I wanted to know the story behind you. And that led me into coming out to your place to spend some time with your family. And one of the things that was really resonated with me, I overuse that word, but it's the only one that I know that defines what I'm trying to say. But the thing that resonated with me was how much support you get from your family.
Oh
Your
yeah.
two little brothers look up to you. Your mom is, doing everything that she can to help you, whether it's cooking meals or preparing, whatever you have to do on a daily basis. Then there's your dad. I mean, the guy is just completely, your whole family is, but your dad is just totally melted into what you're doing. He drives you around. Talk about the support that your family gives you. And then we're going to talk about your dad.
Yeah. So, gosh, my family's awesome. My two younger brothers, they've always kind of done their own thing. But when it comes to hunting or the outdoors, we're always together. We don't really argue in the blind. We don't ever, disagree as far as the outdoors. So,
Other things, yeah, but not the outdoors.
It's not the outdoors. As far as photography goes, they've loved what I was doing because they love being in pictures. They're like, oh yeah, take a picture of me doing this or take a picture of me doing that. And it's super cool because usually my brothers, we're always on opposing sides, we're always fighting, but with photography for some reason they love it. And with my mom has always had to deal with feathers around the house or everyone being gone for a weekend hunting. I was surprised when I got into photography because I was out more and she didn't get to see me. She got to see me less. And it's super awesome how supporting and how loving my family is, because it's something that I think everyone needs as far as being a kid goes. If you're gonna embark on a new adventure, having that support is just an extra bonus as far as that.
I'm sure your mom is just like over the moon. The fact that the reason she doesn't get to see you is because you're working on a craft and pursuing your dream rather than a bunch of other things that a lot of teenagers are doing these days. So kudos to your mom for raising you with a self-drive and self-discipline and
that trust to let me be by myself for that long.
That's huge, because you're not doing anything. You're not going out and getting in trouble. You've done it enough. You're consistently doing the same things. You're being productive, and that's where that trust comes from. And it's amazing to watch your mother. When she puts posts up on her Instagram page about you, or all of her children for that matter, it's always very heartfelt. And I mean, that's what mothers do. Yet at the same time, you can see the love and the caring mom that she is. It's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
What about your dad? Let's talk about your dad. I mean,
my dad,
hold on. Let me get my tissues here because I'm really soft when it comes to dad.
My dad, he is the reason that I am who I am. It doesn't matter what I'm doing or how I'm doing it. He's always with me 100% of the way, even if it's sports, if it's girls, if it's the outdoors, if it's photography. He's always with me, and he's always supporting me 100%, 110% for that matter. The moment I got this camera, he was glowing. He was like, "Oh yeah, let's do this. This will be awesome." We were hunting together. I was taking pictures, and you couldn't wipe the smile off of his face from the moment I started. I would make him drag me around all up and down the Sac Valley for hours and hours and hours just taking pictures, and there was not one complaint, and there was not like, "Hey, you think we should go?" No, he was always all the way for it. And every time,
go ahead.
Every time I get a new opportunity or just something out of the ordinary, he'll always be like, "Oh yeah, let's just chase this down. Let's chase your dream, Brandon." And it's just so awesome. It's uncomparable. to me.
when you guys took me on the Sac Valley tour to the different refuges and marshes that you go to. You even took me to your, the private club that you guys hunt on
Yeah.
at the Sinks Butte, and it's beautiful. And the thing that I noticed about your dad too was, when you're out laying in the bulrushes or cattails or in the weeds when you're trying to get your shot, your dad's literally just sitting in the truck waiting, a lot like maybe a good parent would be sitting in the bleachers watching their son practice baseball every day or go to their games. It takes a lot of dedication. And like you said, he's not sitting there going, "Okay, you ready? Are you ready to go home yet?" He's saying, where do you want to go next, Brandon?" And you name it, and you're off, and you're going there, and it's just it's teamwork, because you wouldn't get to capture the things that you do because you couldn't drive at the time without your dad, and the support is beautiful. I mean, it was one of the most attractive things that I found about your family, for
Yeah,
sure.
for him to sacrifice, because he's a diehard hunter. That's all he does. When he was my age, he was beating up refuges. He was staying out for entire weekends just hunting. But for him to sacrifice his time and his energy, because he does work a lot. He works shifts. He works 12-hour shifts. For him to sacrifice that, for me, it's I'm eternally grateful, so to speak.
Well, let's talk about one incident that was that flipped that switch there for a second, kind of in a funny way, but we brought it up. So we're in the blind. We're at Sinks Butte in Northern California, in Sacramento Valley, and I had all my equipment. I brought my calls with me, and I've got a few bands, and we were talking about my bands, and then all of a sudden, like right after first shooting light, there's a mallard coming, which isn't the most, at least at that time, it wasn't the most prevalent species, but it flies over. And I forget, were you out in the water taking photos, or were you doing
No, I
something?
was I was right next to him, and we both grabbed our guns. We're aiming at it, but the duck flies far enough to where I'm about to shoot over my dad's head. So I put the gun down, and it's a far shot. I'm watching the duck. I'm like, okay, I'm just ready for this. And then he shoots, and it drops. And this, I don't know, it feels like a 70, 75-yard shot. I'm like, geez, Dad. Our dog goes back and get it, and he runs back into the blind, and he starts shaking off. And I look at him like, that thing's banded. And my dad's like, no, you're just messing around. And I'm like, look at it. I pull it up, and he goes, sure, that thing's banded. And,
Yeah.
and you're in the back just cracking up. You've got the camera, and my dad's cracking up, and I'm beating myself. I'm like, oh, I should have shot that thing. But
Yeah, that was a cool moment. That was a very cool moment because
yeah,
you guys don't get a lot of bands there, and then that greenhead we were just talking about, in the greenhead shows up in the blind. Crash brings it back, and it's got a band on it. That was those photos actually got a lot of attention as
it
well.
did. Those were cool pictures.
Yeah.
We don't get mallards that often.
What did you upgrade? What kind of camera are you shooting now, man? Camera and lens. What's your favorite combo?
Canon 7D Mark II with the Tamron 150 to 600 G2. That's literally the only. I use this lens for pretty much everything. I do it wildlife, from being far away, taking pictures of my dog or people hunting. It's a great all around. Even though it is a long telephoto lens, you can get really far away and be the fly on the wall, like you were talking about last episode, to where you can just get those fly on the wall aspect shots, and you're pretty much that's how I do it.
Yeah, you capture moments. Let's you want to talk about some questions we're getting in, Jess?
Yeah, earlier, where was it? Actually, Bobby asked a pretty good one. Bobby wanted to know about, where is it? Hold on. Okay, so he says, Jake and Jess's background tells a story of organization. What is yours supposed to say? So I think what he's asking is, what do you want people to take from what you put out as a photographer?
From my content?
From your background, you mean, I think you're set. Like, what's behind you, and what does that mean to you? Because obviously, let's just, we're not hiding anything. We want people to see what we're doing and to tell a story because we're photographers. And you placed your computer and your camera in a position to display the things you have in the background. Let's talk about that a little bit.
Um,
What does it
as
mean
far
to you?
it's just being creative, I guess, and never making excuses, because I know a lot of people, they do make excuses about their equipment and their gear. It's like, oh, I can't get the shot because I don't have the right settings or the right capabilities. It's like I said, I've said it before. It's never been about the gear. I don't know. How do I explain it? I think I was never organized. I just go as I feel or as I do. Just learn. YouTube has helped me a lot with learning how to edit and learning how to shoot manual. That's all there is to it. Just don't ever take steps too fast, or don't do it for the wrong reasons. Doing that, because for a while, when I was doing it, I was doing it for the wrong reasons for a while, because for a little bit of time, I really wanted to get sponsored. I was like, oh, I really want to get sponsored. I thought it was gonna make me cool. So I started shooting to get sponsored, and nothing happened. My photography was not improving. Nothing was happening. So I pushed that aside, and just for that time, or for a long time, I was just taking pictures just to take pictures, and doing it because I love the outdoors and hunting and ducks, and doing that helped me because it got me a few sponsors along the way. Even though I wasn't trying to be, when I was trying to get sponsors, I didn't get any. But when I wasn't, I was getting more attention, because when you do it just because you love it, or when you do it just because that's your passion, I feel like that's when you'll get your most success.
Mm-hmm. Carmine wants to know, I think you might have already said something about your dog, but do you have a favorite moment behind the camera?
I don't have a favorite moment behind the camera, but I do have a favorite moment. Actually, yeah, I think my favorite moment behind the camera was my dog licking those ducks, when it was not planned. It was totally out of the ordinary. He does it all the time, but for me to capture it like that, and him looking up at me like, oh God, I'm in trouble, because
That's
he's
right.
not allowed to lick ducks.
I was just gonna say he was looking up at you, but he was like he was licking the ducks and he was looking up at you like, okay,
He's like, are you
am I gonna
getting
get in trouble here, or is he gonna let me get away with this? I'm gonna lick these ducks until he stops taking photos, then I'll stop.
Yeah. My dad gets him in trouble with that much, but yeah, I think that's probably been my favorite moment behind the camera.
Nice.
Where do you see yourself going? What are you gonna do? What's your like? You're just gonna keep. I guess you explain that. You're just gonna keep shooting, and it's gonna take you where it's gonna take you, right?
Exactly, because if you told me to my past 13, 14-year-old self, it's like, hey, this is where you're gonna be in 2 years, where I'm at, I would just laugh at you. It was totally nowhere, not even close to what my expectations or my dreams. So that's why I've just kind of been going with the flow, because if every time I'll set a goal, but then I'll exceed that goal times two on steroids. Not on purpose. It might sound bad, but I don't try to set goals like that. That's the picture.
There
I
it
found
is.
it.
Yay! What a great shot.
Yeah. So in 10 years, 20 years down the road, I don't know where I'll be. I don't know how I'm gonna do it, but I don't know. It'll be.
You're
It'll be
doing it.
past.
You're doing it, buddy. I
I'll
mean,
do it.
yeah,
If
you're
you
doing.
had no limitations, if you didn't have to go to school and you had lots of money and whatever equipment you wanted, where would you go this weekend to take photos?
This weekend,
Yep.
Bozeman, Montana. I don't know why.
That's where I'm going next week.
Imagine that. That's where everybody goes. All the outdoor photographers live in Bozeman, Montana now.
I know. We were just in the Sierra Nevada. So I'm like, hey, Dad, you think this looks like Montana? He goes, I've never been to Montana. I'm like, hey, you think this looks like Montana? He goes, no, I've never been to Montana. I said that 1,000 times. I saw the Sierra Nevada. So I'm like, Dad, it looks like Montana.
Montana looks like a lot of places. It's got a lot of different landscapes in there.
I've always wanted to go to Montana.
Well, you can join me anytime.
What do you do? What do you do outside of photography? Let's talk about you just being a kid, man. I mean, don't be offended by the fact that I'm calling you a kid, but you're only 16. What do you do? What's your other? What are some of your other hobbies besides hunting?
Trucks
Trucks?
and girls.
Like
And
working on trucks?
working on trucks, making cool trucks, redneckifying trucks. All my friends are the hick group at high school. We call ourselves the Vaca High Hicks because we all wear boots, we all wear cowboy hats, and we all have big trucks. So we all do that. We all fish. That's our thing. We always have a pond that we go to. We bass fish, and then when I'm not doing anything else, I'll fly fish just for the fun of it in the summer. But if I'm not taking pictures, I'm definitely hunting. I'm hunting with my other friends. I'm hunting with my dad. I'm hunting with my brothers. And that's all there is to it.
And
Hunting, fishing, and loving every day.
yeah, and your little brothers. Let's talk about your little brothers. They're into hunting and fishing as well, but they're into baseball still, right?
They still do a lot of baseball. My youngest brother wants to get into football. They're all very athletic, so that's how it is.
You're a very active family.
It's a constant. It's clockwork. We're all doing the same thing every day. It's usually every weekend there's a baseball tournament, or every day. We just finished up Little League, so there's that much out of it. But for the most part, it's just always sports. We're always going. There's no stopping.
Nice.
Now that I have 3 children, I'm always going to be contacting you and your dad and mom for advice on how to raise 3 kids. Juggling, that's a juggling act to have.
I think you think you're busy now, Jake, but I don't know that you understand how busy it's going to get. Yeah, I'll have to talk to Brandon's mom. How are you going to schedule all those?
Sometimes 3? I feel bad for my parents.
Will feel bad for me too.
Good luck,
because that's coming.
Yeah.
Some other questions. What's your favorite moment behind the old stop box? Is that right? What is
camera? That sounds like Carmine.
That is Carmine. Yeah. He's asking the same question twice. Your mother said, working hard and seeing his joy is my best accomplishment. So your mom is watching. She's at Starbucks watching the show right now. Is that right? Yeah.
Mom,
so we told
Mom, buy me a caramel frappuccino, please.
we had to make sure that Brandon knew that no one in the house could be on the Wi-Fi so we'd have all the digital space for the broadband for the feed. And so his mom actually went down to Starbucks to watch the show. So hi, Randy. Hope you're doing
Randy,
well.
Who are some of your photography icons or heroes? Whose work do you admire or think is very innovative? Who do you follow?
Well, I'm looking at 2 of them.
Not us.
Bill Buckley and Lee Shows are 2 big ones. I've always looked up to their work. Who else? Phil Conkey is a big one.
Very good.
Who else? Man, Ryan Askren. I like him. A lot of the waterfowl photographers. Matt McCormick, Ted Wells. I do look up to them a lot. There's another one. Sam Sohol. I like him a lot. I like his work.
They're all good guys.
They're all great guys. Great photographers, very talented people.
What's great about this industry is not only is most of the work just phenomenal, but the people behind the lenses are just great people, great all around people. They're nice. They're just awesome. They're cool.
I think all the people that you named are, have developed their reputations because they're original. They're very original artists. And they're very talented, which helps them become original. Do you focus on being, you have all these inspirations in your life being a young guy, but how do you stay original? You think like Lee Cho said, you just go and you just do it and it just shows up. What happens?
Yeah, it does just show up. If I admire people's work, do not get me wrong, but if I try to copy someone's aspect, the image will just be bad, and second of all, I can't do that because it's a lack of respect to the photographer. But while I do think Bill Buckley's photos are phenomenal, I feel like a lot of people's photos are just great. I would never I would never have their style in my mind when I'm shooting, because then it'll probably just ruin my photos. And yeah,
So you
I
just
just like
appreciate their work.
I do appreciate their work, but I will never copy their work or use.
That's a great way to look at it. Someone just asked if we could link your Instagram page. It's at Brandon Fien Photo, right?
Mm-hmm.
Brandon Fien
At
photo.
There you go.
It is.
Jordan Fromer asked that question.
Feel free
Yeah,
to
definitely.
follow.
Everybody should be on his Instagram page, checking out his work. I mean, from the beginning of his feed, it's good stuff, but you really see a lot of growth and a lot of creativity. And just seeing some of the equipment that you were using and getting these photos is just incredible. I mean, it's a lot of time you put into figuring out how to do that.
When you're around
Well,
Brandon, he just, he's not fumbling around with his camera. He's not fumbling around with his equipment. He understands the equipment that he's using. And so when you're around him, he's 16 years old and you're around a professional photographer. That's what it feels like. And I've been around a lot of photographers in my life, and I can honestly say that about you, Brandon. You've really taken the time to learn your craft, to learn your skill. Your natural talent has brought that out because it's a desire that burns inside of you, and you've done a really good job. I mean, you're a very studious kid, man.
thank you. Also, you might see my recent work, my recent Instagram. I've not been posting a lot of pictures because recently actually just right after duck season, my hard drive crashed, so
Ah,
I lost all of my pictures. I
no
managed
way.
to. I grabbed all my original pictures, put them onto that hard drive, and it just crashed. We brought it to every place possible.
Oh
Oh
no.
Nothing
no.
Okay. Everyone who knows
but
Brandon for Christmas, get him a second hard drive.
no, I
Oh
have
no.
not the hard drive you sent me, Jake. That one still works. There was a separate hard drive, a 2 terabyte hard drive that did crash, but I managed to go
Oh,
through my emails. It was, and I scrambled out some of my favorite photos because I did send out my favorite photos in email, so I have those. But yeah, it
Have
was.
you tried sending it somewhere to see if anyone can restore it, run some
Yeah,
software on it?
I sent it to a bunch of different companies. Best Buy. I did some online companies. Nothing salvageable. They
for
said one of the
sure.
for
I
sure.
know. Okay, I was just going to say I know a guy named Jeff Woodward who I work with I've seen him salvage some pretty crazy stuff, so I may ask him about it. When
Okay.
we go offline, I'll get your computer information. I ask Jeff about it and see if he can help you out there.
We sent it somewhere, but it hasn't come back yet. They told
Oh,
us it wasn't salvageable, but they haven't sent it back. I don't know where it is. So once I get it back, I'll let you know.
Moving
All right.
forward, Brandon, back it up to a cloud or Dropbox. Have it in two places. If that's the
Yeah,
only professional advice I can give you moving on, have it in at least two
I'm
places.
glad I learned it early in my career.
Yes.
Is what.
That's a crappy lesson to learn, but it's a good one.
Yes, I've
thank
learned a
goodness
lot.
for social media too, because I'm sure there's a lot of those photos, at least the select your favorite ones, or at least posted somewhere where, if nothing else, you get a screenshot of it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what's next? I mean, what you're looking forward to duck season? What are you going to do this summer? You got to take. I mean, we all know you take photos of ducks like this blue-winged teal, but you and I've talked about expanding your horizons before in photography. You're working on this new truck.
Yep.
Looking forward to seeing some photos coming out of that project as well.
Really, this year is probably going to be a mystery because this year I can drive myself. I'll have more access to places. I can hunt by myself, so I'm sure I'll be out in the marsh even more than I already was. I'll drive myself places. What else? I'm going to do a lot more lifestyle photography because if most of the people that know me know that I'm mostly wildlife as the past 2.5 years have been. It's mostly been just waterfowl. But if I can get more into that lifestyle, more of that human aspect, I feel like that'll be very rewarding to me, and that's just always been a goal of mine.
I'd
Yeah.
love to see what you can do, taking some photos of your brothers playing baseball. I think that would be pretty cool.
Oh, that's a good idea. I was actually thinking about that with my family,
You
but
should get some
every
candids of your mom making sandwiches for you, getting up early, folding your laundry. Yep. Get the
All
that
behind the scene moments that keeps it
it's
all
all
together.
What's the biggest thing you've learned over the years besides, just camera settings and post production? Carmine Avina's he's shooting questions, a lot of questions your way, and that's something that just came from him. So, what's the biggest thing you've learned over the past few years besides camera settings and post production?
Staying humble is the biggest thing because with everything else in life with sports, I've never had this much success, and it is a lot to take in sometimes. But staying humble, just keeping it to myself, keep my head straight, which my parents have done a really great job of keeping my head straight. It's really that's probably the biggest thing is staying a kid, staying with school, but also chasing my dreams is probably the biggest thing I've learned in my career.
Do you run into jealousy? It's not something that's totally comfortable to talk about, but at your age, I mean, heck, at our age, we run into jealousy all the time. You
Yeah.
must run into some jealousy there. How do you deal with that?
Um, I'm not going to say any names, but some of my really close friends that are not close friends anymore got jealous. They're not they don't really like me. They because our whole friend group, my whole friend group, they're all big duck hunters, big outdoorsmen, just like myself. It's partly the reason I'm into this. Um, they see what I'm doing and they kind of want to copy it, or they want that success for themselves, and they'll just get, for some reason, some people will just get super angry with me sometimes, or they'll just ask me tons and tons of questions on how I do it, and it's it's hard to deal with, to lose friends, really close friends like that at this age. So
They'll hopefully some of those people, Brandon, if I can speak from experience, will come back around because the truth of the matter is that they actually do. They still love you. And they still appreciate, they respect you more than ever. It's just hard for them to express that because they admire you so much and they're jealous. But, as you guys grow older and become adults, I think, some things will occur in their lives that will make them realize what they've done and they'll come full circle. So, stay open to that. Make sure if they do come back around, you welcome them in because, they're still your friends and they just
yeah,
didn't know how to deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
yeah. I mean, we're all kids and we're all still learning about life. And some people would just straight up cut me off out of nowhere. It's like, oh, okay, you don't like me anymore. um, yeah, I don't like losing friends, as I like to think of myself as a pretty friendly person. I don't really have any enemies, so
It gets
Just stay
worse.
true to your, yeah. People will come and go, especially as a kid. Stay true to yourself and just stay true to your morals, and that's what's important. And the people that matter they'll be there when it matters.
hmm
yeah.
So your work, you can see your work on Instagram. Obviously, that's very visible. You go to Tangle Free Waterfowl, their digital platforms. In fact, you live very close to them. What's
Yeah,
your relationship like with Tangle Free?
Taylor Free. The guys there are just amazing people. They are in Concord, California. I'm in Vacaville, California, which is only about an hour drive away. So if ever I need anything, I'll just it's a trip over there to grab some stuff and then go. But they've probably helped me as far as getting into this industry or excelling myself and presenting myself in this industry more than a lot of things, because they're a family run business. They're super supportive, just like my family. Um, if I ever want to say, hey, can I do this, or hey, can I try this or do that, they're always like, oh yeah, you do it.
They
They're a company
trust
that
you.
yeah, they are their photographers are very successful because they let them do what they please, I guess.
Yeah, well, I think
Nice.
that, it's just like your family we talked about before, because of your proximity to Tangle Free's headquarters, that, that puts you in location to be successful with them. But going back to your family support and all the things that we've already covered, before, they see that as well, and they trust you. And having that trust in a brand, which is something that's very important for people to know too, is that these relationships, you don't have to be a 60-year-old professional that's been in the industry for 50 years to be trusted. You can be a 16-year-old kid that's humble, that works hard, that's creative and does all those things, and you can develop these relationships, and that's where success starts. So you take that relationship, you go to another company, not a competitor, obviously, because you're a loyal person, but you go to another brand in a different genre, and you just repeat that, and you don't try to do that. You don't fake it. You just who you are, and that's what builds that trust. And I can guarantee you, I don't want to speak for Corey and Doug at Tangle Free, but I know just from conversations we've had about you that they trust you and they care about you and they want to see you succeed. So they put you on their platform, and that helps get you more exposure, and things just start to grow and grow and grow after that.
Yeah.
You've done very well for yourself.
Thank you.
Where's your dad right now? Is he at work?
No, he's sleeping. He works nights. So he'll be sleeping until like 3 in the afternoon.
Where's Crash?
Backyard?
In the house somewhere? In the backyard.
Somewhere.
It's his dog, his black lab. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that name.
Crash. It's one of the stories actually I have, when I was shooting, it was very early in my career. I was shooting with my T6, and it was 5:30 in the morning. I was on my bike, and I had to ride my bike through town to get to this local lake, which is a pretty big migratory place for birds and waterfowl. It was pitch black. I had my hoodie on. I had my backpack, and I'm chugging through. I'm going over this bridge, and then police lights come on because I'm driving on the sidewalk, or I'm riding on the sidewalk. I get pulled over by the cops, and they're like, "Hey, what are you doing this early?" And I'm like, "I'm going to take pictures." They're like, What's in your backpack?" I show them my camera. They're like, "You're not hauling any drugs, are you?" I'm like, "No." And he goes, "Oh, okay." I show him my camera. I tell him what I'm doing, and he goes, "Oh, that's super cool. Where are you?" I'm like, "I'm on Instagram." And he goes, "Where are you going?" I'm like, "I'm going to go take pictures at Peñadobe Lake." He goes, "Oh, that's super cool. What's your Instagram?" And he ends up following me on Instagram that morning. And
wow, what a great story!
I know it was super weird that it wasn't that weird because I did look pretty sketchy. I had a hoodie on and everything. It was pitch black, just a kid riding his bike down the street.
The cop was probably more excited than you were to not get in trouble because he was probably just so happy he didn't have to bust some kid doing something stupid again every morning.
He probably got on his phone to do a quick background check when you rode off, and he's like, went back to the police station. He was like, "Look at this kid, man! I pulled this kid over this morning. He's probably scared to death, and all he was doing was going out taking photos." I mean, who does that? Who does that before daylight? Rides their bike with their camera in their backpack to go take photos in California.
No, it's definitely not something you see every day. It's strange, definitely. I always stand out wherever I go. If there's I'll stand up next to people that are taking pictures with their big telephoto lenses, and then I'll go underneath them and lay in the dirt underneath them, and they'll be like, "What are you doing?" And I'm always standing out because I'm a kid, and there's 30, 40, 50 or 50-year-old people taking pictures of birds when I'm in the mud. So.
Well, Brandon, we're almost out of time. We've got about a minute left, and I know that we've talked about the people that have inspired you, professional photographers over time. But what's important, and I'm not trying to blow your head up, but you're an inspiration to a lot of people. You're probably an inspiration to some of those people that inspired you now because of your age and the dedication and hard work that you've really sacrificed and put yourself through to get to where you are. I can't wait to see where you're going to be 2 years from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now. You and I are very good friends. We're always going to be friends. And I'm really looking forward to watching you grow as a professional, no matter what you do. I mean, if it turns into some other form of art, or I can guarantee you based on how hard you work with your photography skills, you're going to be good at everything that you do. So congratulations to all the accolades and cover shots and published photos and attention that you're getting. You're a great kid. You're an inspiration to me, and I really appreciate you. And even more importantly, if you'll allow me to say this, your family. Your family
Yeah.
is top shelf. I love you guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Brandon, it was awesome getting to know you and talking with you today, and I'm sure that our paths will cross soon. Keep doing what you're doing, and you give me hope for our little ones that there's still kids who've got good things going on.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
And thanks for waking up early on your summer vacation to hang out with us.
No problem at all. It's fine. It was great to talk to you guys.
Awesome. So we can catch Brandon's stuff on Instagram at Brandon Fien Photo, and on the Tangle Free website and their social network feeds. Is there anything else you wanted to promote before we say goodbye?
That's all.
All right.
All right. Bye.
All right. Bye, Brandon.
Bye, Brandon.
Wow. He's awesome.
Is he not? I mean, he's just like one of my favorite people in the whole world. It's so fun. This show is so much fun because we get to bring on friends and even people that we don't know that well. We get to know them. And while I know Brandon really well, you didn't. And now, you know, you see why. And it just,
I mean, you've been talking about him for so long. And I mean, just a little bit of conversation, you can really see that there's a lot of depth to him. So he's a very impressive kid.
Yeah, it's rare. You know, it's rare that you see someone his age that has the variables and the assets that he carries. You know, we could talk about his photography all day long, but his professionalism. You know, he's constantly asking questions. If he doesn't know something, not about photography so much, but about, human skills and dynamics and what do I do in this situation? How do I answer this email and things like that? And those are the things that make him who he is, because he understands that he doesn't know the answer to it. So he goes and finds the answer. He's just a great kid. Yeah.
Yeah. He's, gosh, I hope there's more kids like that out there.
Well, if all you kids out there are watching, or all you parents out there that are watching, you can catch this show and all the other ones on our YouTube channel, Outdoor Cameraman Experience. So be sure and get over there. Eventually, we're probably going to try to transition, over to the YouTube platform, because it's just a bigger platform and offers us a few more things. So, get on over there and subscribe to our channel and watch the Brandon Fien and show your children, and hopefully it'll inspire them to be the productive kid that he is.
Yeah, every kid on YouTube today should watch this episode. I mean, he's just a great example. Also, we still have a ton more of these decals left, and we'd love to hand them out to you guys. So you can send either Jake or I a message, and we'll mail you out a few, and you can get them on your coolers and your gear boxes, and show some love.
That's right. We've got a few weeks coming up here where Jess and I are both going to be busy. So unless we figure something out different, we may skip a few weeks or a week or two here and there, based on our schedules. But but don't be discouraged. We'll be back on with some. We've got some really great guests lined up over the next 2 months, really.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we'll keep you updated with the promos, and if we're going to be off that week, we'll let you know too. And thank you everybody for all the comments and nice things you've been saying about the show, and we're happy you guys are watching it.
I love your set, Jess. It looks great.
Thanks. So I think I've settled on this. I've taken a little bit of Jake's rock and roll and added that in, and some people commented on this today, so thank you. I think it looks good.
Well done. Nice job. Museum look is gone, and the front porch barn scene is in.
Yeah, I moved out of the museum and into something a little cooler.
All right. Well, thanks for joining, everyone. And until next time, bye, Jess.
Bye, Jake.
See ya.